Good evening and welcome to the Job Search Solution, the radio program where we talk about looking for a job, changing jobs, changing careers, hiring. And as always, we begin with a prayer. Dear God, grant us thy peace and thy mercy. Thy will be done. In this session, what I wanted to discuss was probably one of the biggest elephants in the room that is going on in the interviewing process, and it's probably been that way since I got in this business in 1973. And it has to do with the process that companies come up with in interviewing that they think is going to keep them from making a mistake. We've discussed this on this program before, but that the mantra of most every hiring organization and hiring authority is that we don't want to make a mistake, we don't want to make a mistake, we don't want to make a mistake. The more they do this kind of stuff, the fewer mistakes they're going to make. It's not true. They still make mistakes because their process is not a science at all. They invent all kinds of interviewing processes, testing, presentations, pat your head, rub your tummy, and sing the national anthem. All kinds of ridiculous things involved in the interviewing process. You as a candidate need to get used to this kind of thing. Don't question it. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. I'll get into that in a minute, but you better be ready for it. Anything beyond 3 people in the interviewing process is really more of a risk for a company than it is an advantage. I've seen as many as 16 interviews involved in a first-line management job a few years ago, and the candidate eventually just decided, forget it, I'm not doing that again. They wanted the candidate to go back and talk to the same 16 people that they had talked to before. If you're a candidate, there's really nothing you can do about this except grin and bear it. As the market gets easier and candidates are harder to find, companies are going to stop doing this kind of thing. But now, as in the past year, they invent this kind of stuff thinking that it's going to help them make a decision, a better decision. Really, the truth is they're just wanting to spread the risk so that if you don't work out as a candidate, they can always point to each other and say, well, you voted for the guy or the gal, and you're the one that helped us hire them, and so we just spread the risk. Studies show that one individual doing the decision-making in hiring makes just as many good decisions about hiring as 3, 4, 5, or 16 people do. But there's nothing you can do about it. Companies invent this kind of stuff thinking that it's going to protect them. It doesn't. It just makes sure that they end up hiring a candidate that knows how to get through the process, may not necessarily be a good candidate that might be the best candidate, but it's certainly a candidate that knows how to get through the process. You people that are doing the hiring, please understand that the more steps you put in the process of interviewing and hiring, the more likely you're going to lose good candidates, especially as this market gets tighter. When you invent these kind of things that you think everybody in the company that's a manager ought to interview the candidate. I've had companies recently that want the candidate to make presentations. I had one candidate the other day that told the company that when they wanted her to make a presentation, she said, I've been in sales for 20 years. I don't have time to make a presentation. I've got a job that I've got to keep. I'm just not going to do it. Well, of course, the company didn't have much choice. They just decided, well, I guess it won't be a good candidate. They've been looking for 5 months for a candidate, and they finally found one. We found them one that was phenomenal. And she just said, look, I just don't have time to stop and develop spend 3 or 4 hours developing a presentation. So the message is, as the market gets harder to find good candidates. You've got to streamline your interviewing process. Only have the people involved in the interviewing process whose livelihood depends on the candidate's performance. That's it. No more than that. 3 at the most, maybe 4 if your human resources department is involved in it. And if you don't do it quickly with expediency, you're going to lose a candidate. I lost a candidate the other day, or one of my clients lost a candidate the other day. They dragged this thing on for almost 4 weeks. Another firm interviewed the candidate on Friday, had 2 more interviews with the candidate on Monday, the next Monday. By Wednesday, they were ready to make an offer. And they made the offer. Candidate accepted the job, and it was done by Thursday. My client couldn't believe that the candidate moved so fast, couldn't believe that a company would hire somebody that fast. Look, it's hard to do, but it's really, really, really simple. So please, if you're a hiring authority, be ready to move fast because these candidates are moving fast. If you're a candidate, be aware that you're going to have to put up with a lot of hoops and a lot of steps involved in the situation. And there's really not much you can do about it. You can find somebody else to interview with, but after that, there's not much you can do. As the market gets tighter for candidates, these things will change. All right, we're going to take a short break. Stay tuned. This is Tony Bashara with the Job Search Solution.